Most people think building wealth is all about complicated investment strategies, a six-figure job, or just a wild stroke of luck. But what if the real secret to financial freedom had nothing to do with any of that? For years, I was stuck in the same loop you might be in right now, working harder, earning more, but never actually getting ahead. I was obsessed with all the wrong things: stock tickers, the next promotion, those soul-crushing budget spreadsheets. It was exhausting, and it wasn't working. It wasn't until I realized that the truly, lastingly wealthy just think differently that my entire life started to change. In this video, I'm going to share the simple yet powerful mindset shifts that separate the financially free from everyone else. And the first one might just be the invisible chain that's been holding you back this whole time. The whole idea of financial freedom is wildly misunderstood. We're taught to chase numbers, a certain salary, a specific net worth, some magic retirement figure. But true, sustainable wealth isn't a math problem. It's a head game. It's about rewiring the deep-seated beliefs we have about money, our own worth, and what's even possible. Most of these beliefs, our money scripts, were handed to us when we were kids, and we never even realized it. They're just running in the background, quietly calling the shots on every single financial decision we make. For a long time, my own money scripts were total saboteurs. I was brought up to believe you had to pinch every penny, that talking about money was tacky, and that real wealth was for other people. This programming led me to make decisions based on fear, to hoard cash in a savings account instead of investing it, and to feel this constant buzzing anxiety around my finances, even when I started earning more. I was living in a prison I had built myself. This video is basically the story of my jailbreak. It's not about get-rich-quick nonsense or risky bets. It's about something much more fundamental. We're going to walk through the 6 core mindset shifts you have to make to go from a life of financial stress to one of genuine freedom. We'll break down not just what these shifts are, but why they work and how you can start putting them into practice today. This isn't just about getting rich, it's about getting your life back. It's about trading your have-tos for want-tos and building a life of choice, purpose, and real abundance. The single biggest thing standing between most people and financial freedom is the scarcity mindset. This is that deep down, often unconscious belief that everything, money, opportunities, success, is limited and there's just not enough to go around. It's a worldview rooted in fear and lack. Someone stuck in scarcity is constantly terrified of losing what they have, so they avoid taking smart risks. They'll let cash pile up in a low-yield savings account because the thought of investing it feels way too dangerous. Every decision comes from a place of fear, not opportunity. This constant focus on what you don't have is mentally draining, making it nearly impossible to see the bigger picture and plan for the future. For years, this was my default setting. I remember this one moment so clearly. A mentor offered me a spot in a high-level mastermind group. It was a big investment, a few $1,000s. My immediate gut reaction was, nope, can't afford that. My brain just slammed the door shut. I only saw the cost, the money leaving my account, the scarcity. I was so fixated on the potential loss that I was completely blind to the potential gain, the network, the knowledge, the opportunities that could have paid for it 10 times over. I let fear make a major life decision for me. I was playing defense with my money, just trying not to lose instead of playing offense and trying to win. The antidote to scarcity is an abundance mindset. It's the belief that there are plenty of opportunities and resources out there, and that someone else's success doesn't take away from yours. This isn't just wishful thinking, it's a strategic psychological shift. Here's how you start making it happen. First, you have to name your demons. You can't fight an enemy you can't see. Grab a piece of paper and write down the messages you heard about money growing up. Stuff like, money doesn't grow on trees, we can't afford that, or rich people are greedy are all seeds of scarcity. Just seeing them on paper helps you recognize them for what they are, stories you were told, not facts. Second, start rewriting your internal script. The moment you catch yourself thinking, I can't afford it, challenge it. Replace it with a question. Okay, how can I afford it? This simple switch is a game changer. The first phrase is a dead end. It kills all creative thought. The second is an open door. It kicks your brain into problem-solving mode. It forces you to think about creating value or finding resources, not just accepting defeat. Finally, stop waiting for the perfect plan. People trapped in scarcity often feel they need a 100% foolproof strategy before they do anything. which means they usually do nothing at all. Give yourself permission to move forward when you're 80% sure. Progress beats perfection every single time. Have you ever felt that knot in your stomach when you think about money? That quiet dread that there will never be enough? Recognizing that feeling is the first step. The journey out of scarcity doesn't start with a lottery win. It starts when you consciously decide to look for opportunities where you once only saw risk. Most of us are trained from day one to have an employee mindset. Go to school, get a good job, work hard, get a paycheck. Repeat for 40 years. In this model, your income is welded to the hours you work. If you stop working, the money stops. While a job is great for security, relying only on this model is a surefire way to never be truly free. Financially free people, on the other hand, operate with an owner mindset. Now, this doesn't mean you have to quit your job and launch a startup tomorrow. It's a total shift in how you see your financial world. An owner doesn't just work for money, they make money work for them. They focus on buying and building assets, things that make money whether they're clocked in or not. They think in terms of building systems, not just collecting paychecks. I had my own painful wake-up call with this about a decade ago. I had a great job by anyone's standards. I was climbing the corporate ladder. My salary was growing, and on paper, I looked successful. But I felt like I was on a high-speed treadmill. The more I made, the more my lifestyle inflated, and the more trapped I felt. I realized that if I stopped working for any reason, getting sick, a layoff, total burnout, the cash flow would dry up instantly. My entire financial life was built on the fragile foundation of my ability to show up. I was a well-paid employee, but I didn't own a thing. That thought was terrifying, but it was also freeing. It was the spark that forced me to start thinking like an owner. Making the shift starts with one simple action. Start buying assets, no matter how small. When you buy a share of stock or an ETF, you're not just gambling on the market. You're becoming a part owner of actual businesses. You're buying a tiny piece of an income-generating machine that can work for you while you sleep. The amount you start with doesn't matter. What matters is the mental flip. You are now an investor, an owner. Even if it's just $50 a month, you're starting to build a system where your wealth isn't 100% tied to your own labor. Next, look for ways to create value that aren't tied directly to your time. This could be a side project, a rental property, a digital product, or royalties from creative work. The goal is to build income streams that are passive or at least semi-passive. This is how you finally break the time for money trade. It's the difference between earning a living and building a fortune. Our culture is constantly screaming at us about what wealth should look like. The fancy cars, huge houses, designer clothes, and exotic vacations. The unspoken message is that more is always better. This creates a dangerous trap, the endless chase for a version of rich that somebody else defined. So many people hit incredible income goals they once dreamed of, and yet they still feel empty, anxious, and unfulfilled. Why? Because they never stopped to figure out what enough truly means to them. True abundance isn't just about a bigger bank account. It's a feeling of security, peace, and the freedom to live a life that actually matters to you. It's about owning your time, which is the only resource you can never get more of. Financial freedom is as much about your state of mind as it is your net worth. If you don't define your own finish line, you'll be stuck running forever. I fell right into this trap. For years, my goal was just a number. I wanted to be a millionaire. I thought that once I hit that magic number, all my problems would vanish and I'd finally feel rich. Well, I eventually got there, and the feeling was surprisingly meh. Nothing magically changed. I still had the same anxieties. That's when it hit me. I had been chasing a number without attaching any meaning to it. I was making wealth the goal, instead of seeing it as the tool to build the life I actually wanted. The first step out of this trap is to get crystal clear on your personal vision of abundance. I want you to ask yourself some real questions and actually write down the answers. What does financial abundance feel like? More importantly, what would it let you do? Would you spend more unfiltered time with your kids? Would you quit that job that's draining your soul to finally work on your passion project? Would you travel the world or fund a cause you believe in? Get specific. Instead of "I want to be rich," try "I want enough passive income to cover my bills so I can spend my mornings with my family and my afternoons writing a book." See the difference? One is a hollow number, the other is a life full of purpose. That becomes your why, the fuel that keeps you going when it gets hard. The second part is to actively practice gratitude for the abundance you already have. A scarcity mindset is always focused on what's missing. Gratitude is the perfect antidote. Start a daily habit of noting 3 things you're financially grateful for. It can be as simple as, I'm grateful I could buy groceries for my family, or I'm grateful for the skills that let me earn a living. This literally retrains your brain to see the prosperity that's already here, shifting your emotional state from lack to sufficiency. You're not ignoring your goals. You're just pursuing them from a place of peace, not desperation. By the way, if these ideas are starting to click and you're getting some value from this, do me a quick favor and hit that subscribe button. We talk about this kind of life-changing financial thinking every week, and I'd love for you to be part of the community as we all head toward true freedom. There's an old saying, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. This is brutally true when it comes to your finances. The conversations you're in, the attitudes you're around, they have a huge, often invisible impact on your own behavior. If your inner circle is constantly talking about debt, complaining about bills, and just sharing a general vibe of struggle, that negativity will seep into your own thinking and reinforce your own limiting beliefs. On the flip side, if you surround yourself with people who talk about growth, investments, opportunities, and building wealth, you can't help but be inspired and educated. Wealthy people talk about money. It's not taboo. It's a tool to be understood and mastered. They ask questions, look for mentors, and make financial success feel normal. Keeping money a secret is a poverty trap. I saw this in my own life. For a long time, my friends were all, like me, stuck in that employee mindset. Our money chats were always negative, griping about the cost of living, stressing over bills, and cynically writing off the wealthy as lucky or crooked. We were all stuck in a scarcity echo chamber. When I decided to get serious about financial freedom, I knew that had to change. It was uncomfortable, but I started intentionally putting myself in new rooms. I joined business groups, went to investment seminars, and started reaching out to people I admired for coffee. Slowly, the whole tone of my conversations shifted. Instead of complaining about expenses, we were discussing cash flow. Instead of treating the stock market like a casino, we were analyzing long-term business strategy. I went from a world of I can't to a world of here's how. It was like stepping out of a dark room into the sun. The new perspectives and encouragement shot my own growth into overdrive. Think of your mindset like a garden. If you surround it with people who only plant weeds of doubt and fear, that's what's going to grow. To grow a garden of abundance, you have to find other gardeners, people planting seeds of opportunity and growth. So, how do you start curating your circle? First, take an honest look at your current influences. Who are you talking to about money? Are those conversations empowering you or holding you back? Second, actively seek out growth-oriented communities. This doesn't mean you have to ghost your old friends. It just means you need to add new voices to your life. This is easier than ever before. You can join online forums, listen to podcasts from financial experts, take courses, or find local investor or entrepreneur meetups. The goal is to immerse yourself in an environment where positive, strategic money talk is the default. Finally, change the conversation yourself. Instead of joining in on the complaints, ask a better question. If a friend mentions a goal, ask about their strategy. Share an article or podcast you found helpful. When you start talking about money in a proactive, positive way, you'll either lift the conversations around you, or you'll naturally drift toward people who are already on your wavelength. Your environment shapes you, and curating it is one of the most powerful moves you can make. Our culture is completely hooked on speed and instant gratification. We want everything yesterday, from next-day shipping to overnight success. This get-rich-quick disease has infected how people think about money. They chase meme stocks, jump on risky trends hoping for a fast score, and get discouraged when they don't see immediate results. This short-term thinking is a recipe for financial failure. Real, sustainable wealth is almost never built overnight. It's built over decades. It's the result of consistency, patience, and the quiet, almost boring magic of compounding. The financially free get this. They aren't gamblers looking for a hot tip. They're farmers. They patiently plant seeds, water them consistently, and trust the process of growth over time. They know that financial success is a marathon, not a sprint. Research in behavioral finance consistently shows that impatience is one of the biggest psychological hurdles to building wealth. I learned this the hard way. early on, I got suckered into a hot tech stock everyone was yelling about. I completely ignored the fundamentals and got swept up in the hype, hoping for a quick win. I threw in more money than I should have, driven by pure greed and impatience. For a few weeks, it was a thrill ride as the stock shot up. But then, just as fast, the bubble burst and I lost a painful amount of money. It was an expensive but incredibly valuable lesson. That loss taught me that exciting investing is usually bad investing. The most powerful wealth-building strategies are often the most boring ones. Shifting to long-term thinking requires two key changes. First, focus on the process, not the events. A market crash is an event. A hot new trend is an event. A bonus at work is an event. Your wealth-building process is the system of habits you follow day in and day out, no matter what. It's your commitment to consistently invest a piece of your income every single month, whether the market is up or down. Wealth isn't made in those dramatic moments. It's forged in the quiet discipline of your routine. The second and most practical way to play the long game is to automate your good habits. Your willpower is a muscle that gets tired. You can't rely on it to make the right choice every single day for 30 years. So, build a system that makes consistency automatic. Set up automatic transfers from your checking to your investment accounts for the day you get paid. This is the pay yourself first principle, and it is the single most powerful financial habit you can build. When you automate your investing, you take emotion and guesswork out of the equation. The market can be going wild, but your system just keeps chugging along in the background, buying assets for your future. This automated, disciplined approach is the closest thing to a wealth secret that actually exists. This last shift might be the most counterintuitive one of all. When we think about building wealth, our first instinct is to pile it up and hold on tight. The idea of giving money away seems like the exact opposite of what you should be doing. But here's the paradox. Being generous is one of the most powerful ways to break the chains of a scarcity mindset and lock in a feeling of true abundance. At its core, scarcity is a belief that you don't have enough. When you give your time, your money, your knowledge, you are making a powerful statement to yourself. You are acting like someone who has more than enough to meet their own needs, with plenty left to share. The act itself reinforces the belief that resources aren't limited but flowing, and that you are part of that flow. Now let's be clear. This isn't about being careless or giving away money you need for rent. And it's definitely not about financial enabling, giving so much to friends and family out of guilt that it hurts you and fosters dependency in them. True generosity is about intentional, strategic contribution. My own journey here was a slow burn. I used to think I had to cling to every single dollar to feel secure. The thought of donating to a cause literally triggered my scarcity anxiety. But I decided to test it. I started tiny. I committed to giving a laughably small percentage of my income away each month. The first time I did it, it felt weird. But then something amazing happened. It didn't make me feel poorer. It made me feel wealthier. It shifted my focus from my own problems to the positive impact I could have. It was a real-world action that proved to me my scarcity fears were just stories in my head. I had enough. I was okay. You can start doing this today. Start small. Buy a coffee for the person behind you. Leave an unexpectedly generous tip. Donate a few bucks to a cause you like. The amount is way less important than the act. The goal is to feel that mental shift from hoarding to flowing. Another powerful way to be generous is with your time and expertise. Volunteer for a group you admire or offer to mentor someone just starting out. When you help others from a place of your own strength, it reinforces your own sense of capability in a way that money can't touch. It's about building a legacy as you go, not waiting until you're retired to finally make a difference. This paradox, that giving leads to a greater sense of wealth, is the ultimate expression of an abundance mindset. It's the final key that frees you from the fear of not enough and solidifies your identity as someone who not only has plenty, but is a source of value for others. So, as we've seen, the road to financial freedom has way less to do with stock market secrets and far more to do with the stories you tell yourself. True, lasting wealth is an inside job. It starts the second you decide to challenge the invisible scripts that have been running your life. Let's recap the 6 shifts. First, we escape the scarcity trap by choosing to see abundance. Second, we shift our identity from a time-trading employee to a value-creating owner. Third, we define our own version of abundance, so we're chasing purpose, not just a number. Fourth, we curate our financial circle, surrounding ourselves with growth. Fifth, we embrace the quiet, unstoppable power of the long game. And finally, we unlock the paradox of generosity, proving to ourselves that we have more than enough. Each of these shifts builds on the one before it, creating a rock-solid psychological foundation for wealth. Financial freedom isn't some distant dream for the lucky few. It starts right now, between your ears. It starts with the very next choice you make. You don't need a fancy degree or a lottery ticket. You just need to commit to changing the way you think. The tools are right here, the time is now. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss what's next. Thanks for watching. Now go start cultivating your wealth.